You are listening to Däs Bündesliga Show here on the Lock Betting Podcast. You can follow Lock Betting on Twitter at lockbetting.com. That's at lockbetting.com. But to get all of the official Lock Betting content, head over to the Patreon page, lockbetting.com. That's lockbetting.com, the service that has delivered so far 112 months in a row of transparent track profit. We begin our Bundesliga action on Friday with Bayern Munich playing at home to Bayer Leverkusen. This one would seem straightforward given the fact it's a must-win spot for Bayern, and Bayer Leverkusen have been in horrible form so far this season. Bayern Munich are the 2-5 favourites to win the game. It's 5-1 on the draw, and it's 6-1 on Bayer Leverkusen. There are some minor complications here in terms of picking this game. Yes, it's a must-win game for Bayern. You could expect to see everybody playing here in this game. But you have Neuer and Goretzka, who didn't travel with Germany because they have COVID. And then you have Musiala, Müller, Sane, Gnabry and Kimmich, who all played for Germany on Monday and did not leave the UK until Tuesday morning. I know because I was in the same hotel. So the preparation isn't great here for this game. So you'd be hoping that Bayern Munich win it on pure skill. And you'll also be hoping that Bayer Leverkusen aren't firing themselves. So we're going to take Bayern to win this game. And we're going to tack on the under 5.5 goals. Now, you can also tack on under 4.5 goals. That actually gives you plus money for this selection because this game has a history of a ton of goals. The data supports a lot of goals. Another way where you could go would be to take Bayern and over 2.5, but that's significantly juiced for this game at 8-13. Bayern Munich's league games this season are averaging 3.6 goals per match. Now, this would be well under the 5.5, the rare 5.5 that we are taking here. Bayern Munich have found net in 87 of the last 88 games, and 5 of Leverkusen's last 7 league games have produced over 2.5 goals. So you have the data there for the over 2.5, but to lose this play, you would have to go 3 goals over that and for there to be 6 goals in this game. I expect there to be some lethargicness from the players who are away on international duty. Leverkusen had players away on international duty too. I just don't think they came back as late as Bayern's players. I think Bayern will be looking to lock this game up and play some conservative keep ball in the second half as they look ahead to a Champions League game as well. So the schedule gets horrible for these players, which is why I was surprised that Premier League games were cancelled for the death of the Queen, because it's constantly going to be weekend midweek, all the way through now to the World Cup. So I think Bayern try and get it done here early. I don't see it's getting to the 6-goal marker. So we're going to take Bayern Munich and under 5.5 goals here. And this selection is available for you at the price of 3-4. If you want to know how to get this selection, just go to Bet365 and put it into the bet builder. It will be Bayern and under 6. But because you can bet exactly 6, this does not push if there are 6. So it is really Bayern Munich and under 5.5. Or look for a book that actually has Bayern and under 5.5. But I got this at the Bet365 bet builder, and that's where you can get the price of Bayern and Bayern and under 6 goals at 3-4. So basically Bayern and under 5.5 here for this one. Up next, we move across to Saturday and we look at the game here between Cologne and Borussia Dortmund, where Cologne are the 23-10 home underdogs here. It's 3-1 on the draw, and Borussia Dortmund are the 11-10 away favourites. Borussia Dortmund could be top by the end of the weekend here, because if you look at the game that Union Berlin have, the current league leaders, it's a difficult one against Eintracht Frankfurt. So Borussia Dortmund will be looking to finish the weekend top of the table, and I think they can pick up a win here against Cologne. Cologne have had a respectable start to the season, having lost just once so far, but they've only won 2 games. So all those draws, 4 draws from the first 7, does stick them in mid-table at the moment. I think Dortmund are good enough to win here. They have players coming back, and also they've sorted things out on the defensive end. Usually you'd casually throw on an over 2.5 or a both teams to score onto a Dortmund game. However, that would be a losing bet this season. You're far better off adding a under 3.5 or an under 4.5 to these Dortmund games. Here at plus money, you just need to take the money line, and I think Dortmund will be able to cash for you, given the fact that Cologne themselves are struggling to score. Their home games now haven't seen them score for over 3 hours. And Dortmund have lost just one of the last 11 competitive head-to-head encounters here with this Cologne team. So I like Dortmund to get it done. I'm going to take Dortmund on the money line. I'm not going to overcomplicate this. I'm just going to take that plus money here at the price of 11 to 10. Up next, we move on to the game we just spoke about. It's Eintracht Frankfurt versus Hertha Berlin, where Eintracht Frankfurt are the 5-4 favourites. It's 12-5 on the draw, and it's 11-5 here on Hertha Berlin. You just don't know what to do with Frankfurt at all. They'll lose games which they shouldn't lose. They get beaten at home easily in the Champions League by Sporting Lisbon at home. And then they destroy RB Leipzig, who were coming off a new manager bounce by beating Borussia Dortmund the weekend before. They then took it to Real Madrid and should have got something from the game before being beaten 2 in the last 10 minutes, and then get destroyed by this Frankfurt side. So I don't know who this Frankfurt side are. There's really no way of guessing what to do here for this Frankfurt game. I would just simply go with both teams to score. This Union Berlin side have been involved in some low-scoring games as of late, with under 2.5 goals scored in 5 of the last 5. But both teams to score can cash here with a 1-1 draw. And I think it will be difficult to keep a clean sheet here for Union Berlin against Frankfurt. The head-to-head record suggests that we'll see goals here. There have been more than 2.5 goals in 7 of the last 8, with Eintracht Frankfurt not keeping a clean sheet in 6 straight games against Union Berlin, and both teams scoring in 5 of the last 6. So despite the fact that Union Berlin's success has been built on defence, Frankfurt are a very, very strong attacking side here, and I think they'll be able to score at home. However, I don't like Frankfurt to keep a clean sheet. Therefore, getting the price of 4-5 minus 125 on both teams scoring here does represent some value here for this one. As for who wins the game, as I said, I just don't know what to do when it comes to Eintracht Frankfurt, so I'll pass on any kind of selection here as to who actually wins the game. Perhaps a sprinkle on the draw would be the most sensible way to go. Up next, we look at the game here between RB Leipzig and Bochum, where RB Leipzig are the 1-4 favourites here. It's 11-2 on the draw, and it's 11-1 here on Bochum. Leipzig had a really, really good start under Marco Rosa, and then obviously they lost to Real Madrid at the Bernabeu, and then they lost, as we just mentioned, to Eintracht Frankfurt. The Eintracht Frankfurt result was very, very disappointing because the first 2 games, they were very, very good against Dortmund, of course, winning and keeping a clean sheet, and then against Real Madrid, they should have been a couple of goals up here. You'd expect them to come home here and bounce back. This is where they did get that new manager bounce, and they come home here again against the poorest team in the league. Bochum have picked up just 1 point out of the first 21 available from the first 7 games. Both sides, admittedly, have endured poor starts to the season and have changed managers, but Leipzig here, they are going to push for the Champions League. They are going to go on a run, and I think they start here with a comfortable win. I think they'll cover the minus 1.5 Asian handicap line here with the price at 46 minus 150. This Leipzig team have scored at least twice in each of the last 4 home league games here, and I expect them to be able to do better than that. I think if they score 3 goals here against Bochum, they'll be in a good position to cover this minus 1.5 Asian handicap line here. And when you're looking at Bochum, they have the league worst defensive record, and therefore I think Leipzig will be able to bounce back and pick them apart here in this one. So we're going to take Leipzig to cover the minus 1.5 Asian handicap line here at the price of 46 minus 150. Up next, the final game we look at on Saturday is the late game between Werder Bremen and Borussia Mönchengladbach, where both teams are 6-4 plus 150 on the money line, and it's 3-1 plus 300 here on the draw. Difficult to know what to do with this game. Both teams to score is the standout selection, but you're laying a lot of juice on that. That's available at 4-7. You could take the risk of adding the over 2.5, but as I like the draw here, a 1-1 draw is a possibility. Borussia Mönchengladbach on a great run. They're unbeaten in 12 consecutive head-to-head encounters here with Werder Bremen. Both teams scored in a joint league high 5 of Werder Bremen's games so far this season. And all 3 of Gladbach's away league games this season have ended level. So I think we could see both teams scoring, but I also think this could finish as a 1-1 draw. So I would not be looking to tack on the over 2.5. I'd be looking at this as a parlay piece here, laying the juice on the both teams to score and possibly adding another selection to it. Maybe Bayern Munich on the money line, for example, at the price of 2 to 5. Or if you don't feel secure with that, maybe even RB Leipzig at minus 400 as a money line piece here to bolster this both teams to score selection here for this one. Up next, we jump across to Sunday and we look at the game here between Hertha Berlin and Hoffenheim, where Hertha Berlin are the 7-4 underdogs. It's 11-4 on the draw, and Hoffenheim here are the 11-8 favourites. Hoffenheim having a good season here, so their favouritism is justified in this one. I think despite the fact that they are the 11-8 favourites on the road, I'm happy to back them here. They have won 4 of the last 6 games under this new coach, and they're going into this one against a Hertha Berlin team who have failed to win all but one of their home games, and that dates back to the start of April. So this team is struggling. Hoffenheim are flying. I think this is a good spot to take them. Hoffenheim aren't usually in the conversation when you're looking at teams that you would take as an away favourite, but I think their form this season justifies it, as does subsequently the poor home form of Hertha Berlin. Up next, we move on to the final game here. It's Schalke at home to Augsburg, where Schalke are the even money favourites. It's 14-5 on the draw, and it's 13-5 on Augsburg. This could be a letdown spot for Augsburg because in their last game they beat Bayern Munich, but that was a while ago. So with the international break, the euphoria from that win has probably calmed down a little bit. I think the best way to bet this game would be to take the under 2.5 goals, something we rarely do in the Bundesliga. Schalke with 26 and Augsburg with 20 have taken the least and third least fewest shots on target in the Bundesliga so far this season. 4 of the last 5 head-to-heads at this venue have seen one or no side score a goal, and Augsburg's league games have averaged a joint league low of 2.1 goals per game. So I don't think we see much goalmouth action here. Augsburg obviously are proving to be a team that can defend, keeping a clean sheet against Bayern Munich, and getting the under here at plus money at 11-10, given the data, I think offers you some significant value here for this one. So under 2.5 goals for this final game we're looking at here between Schalke and Augsburg. Closing out with your lock on the show, I was very, very tempted by this Bayern Munich bounce-back spot. They're not going to go 5 games without a win. If they do, they will be looking for a new manager next week. So it was interesting. I saw Mauricio Pochettino at the Germany Hotel in London. I don't know if that's got anything to do with Bayern Munich. I doubt it has. It's probably just him visiting some people whilst there, but it was interesting to see him there, and it would be interesting to see him coming in as the Bayern Munich manager, because I don't think Nagelsmann can survive not winning this game. But ultimately, I've decided to swerve complaints about people not being on Bet365, not being able to find a bet builder at their book, given the American listenership that we have. So if you do have Bet365, I would encourage that bet. I would encourage signing up to Bet365 anyway, because they're one of the only books that pay out at 2-0. Once your team goes 2 goals ahead, be it 2-0 or 3-1, they pay you out the money line selection. I'm not being paid by Bet365. I didn't read out an advert for them. It's just a very, very good offer that does bear a lot of fruit. So anyway, that isn't your lock. Your official lock anyway. Your official lock is going to be on RB Leipzig minus 1.5 on the Asian handicap line at the price of 46 minus 150. This is a big, big bounce back spot for them. We've seen how they were able to score 3 goals and beat Dortmund easily at home. They're now coming off 2 losses. They're playing the worst team in the league. We've got 1 point so far this season from 7 games. So we think Leipzig roll here and win comfortably tomorrow afternoon. That's it for me. Good luck with all your bets as always, and thanks for listening.